Hi, thank you for joining us again. Welcome, Facebook family and friends, which is really my kids, my wife, and maybe my mom or dad are watching. But anyways, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. My name is Sam Goodwin with Hocoa, your home repair network. More importantly, I have Cody Harrison with sustainability consultant, if you will, with Corona Enterprises LLC. And I brought him today to talk to us about sustainability. And you know the old saying goes with me, Sam Goodwin, is I could screw it up if I try to explain it. So that's why I brought the expert today. Cody, why don't you tell us about sustainability, how you got into this business, what does sustainability mean? You know, go from there.
Yeah, so I grew up in Montana near Glacier National Park, a beautiful part of this country, and I've always sort of had natural appreciation for the environment. But in college, I sort of was hit in the face with the stark inequality that exists in our world, and was really just struck by the fact that this is not necessary. We produce more than enough food for everyone on the planet, but half of it ends up going to waste. And we have the technology, the resources, the wealth to end these problems and provide the basic human necessities for every person on the planet. I think we should be doing that. So I decided when I was in college that I didn't have any interest in working on projects that weren't related to food, water, energy, housing, healthcare, and education until this problem has been rectified. Once
and then you can retire.
Well, then I can learn how to play guitar or a musical instrument or learn a new language or something.
Right.
But until then, I am pretty set on working in the sustainability field and solving or helping to solve some of these problems.
Awesome. And so sustainability, if you gave it just a general definition, what would that general definition be of sustainability?
Yeah, so sustainable development is sort of development that provides for the needs of the current generation without hindering the ability of future generations to provide for their own basic needs. And I actually try to go beyond that whenever possible. We have done such vast damage to the ecosystems of this planet that it's not really going to be enough to sustain what we have currently. We really need to be going beyond that to building resilience and regenerating ecosystems, taking an active role to rebuild the productive capacity of our planet's natural systems, and restore some of the beauty that has been lost.
I think it makes total sense, and we have the technology and the know-how to do it. So why not just start incorporating it now? So it makes total sense. But some of the things that we talked about in terms of sustainability, and I've been anybody that knows me the last couple of years, I'm kind of a big proponent of sustainable housing. And Cody, you and I have talked about this. It doesn't make any sense why anybody doesn't live in a home or some kind of decent shelter, at least in the U.S. And in Southern California, the weather here is awesome all the time. And so I like the idea of tiny homes, and some of the things that you work on is not only a small, maybe a living space, but a sustainable living space that can have a complete system where it meets very minimal outside resources to sustain that living space. And so, Maritza, if you can bring up that house that's kind of underground, that picture. So the audience is hopefully looking at this, what I call the Hobbit House. But maybe talk a little bit more about what are the advantages of a design like this, or what was the net goal that was trying to come out of this?
Sure. So this is a project we called Open Sourcing the Living Building Challenge. And the Living Building Challenge is a sustainable housing criteria, similar to LEED, if any of you guys are familiar with that, but kind of like LEED on steroids.
Wow.
So this is meant to be houses that are not just less environmentally harmful, but actually have a positive impact on their surrounding environment. And so we set out to build one of these, so that's still pretty new. There have not been a whole lot of those houses that have been built, so they're still pretty expensive. They average about $500 a square foot, so it's not really accessible to most people. We wanted to bring that down by an order of magnitude to about $50 a square foot, use local materials as much as possible, produce a house that's high performing in terms of energy efficiency, can produce some of its own food, water, things like that, and have a beneficial impact on the environment that people could build themselves.
And that's a good point. So that image that you're probably seeing right now, the Hobbit House, I call it. I mean, you mentioned it, $500 a square foot. That's not sustainable. That's, we've got to drive that cost down to, like you said, to $50 a square foot or even less. I mean, right? It's the whole Elon Musk idea of bring it to the masses at an affordable rate. So that's amazing. But let's bring up that second one, and that's a tiny home that considerably costs less on a per square footage basis. And do we have that up yet, Maritza? Yeah, we have the second. So this tiny home, as a matter of fact, it's your tiny home. We're not giving out the address, but it is Cody's tiny. So can you tell us more about that and what that was like? And
so this is sort of an experiment in sustainable or low footprint living. So my girlfriend and I bought a shell from a manufacturer in Georgia. So these guys use steel studs made from recycled cars, and it's got a soy-based spray foam insulation. And so we got it sort of framed and insulated in the external sheathing, and then we did the electrical, plumbing, siding, roofing, cabinetry, all the built-in furniture and everything like that. And it's sort of a test bed for some sustainability technologies, sort of R&D for my company in a sense. So we've got a heat recovery ventilator on there. It's, very high tech piece of equipment that keeps fresh air constantly circulating in there. Because moisture and mold can be a problem in tiny houses. So it deals with that problem a little bit, and it also recovers some of the energy. So it helps with climate control in both the winter and summer.
That is sweet. So you basically were able to get the shell. So you didn't have to build it from the ground up, but you had a working structure, if you will, to make it your own, to make it your own customization. Now, you don't have to go into total pricing, but roughly what would you estimate a square footage price for something like this to build from start to finish, total cost incurred?
There's really a pretty good range out there for the tiny houses. If you have the time to collect reclaimed materials and really bring all those to your build site and sort of do that over a period of time, collecting windows here and there where you can find them.
And you can find those at like Habitat for Humanity, Restore, probably even Refined Kitchens, who we've had on the program before. He might be a good source for some plumbing fixtures or a vanity or something like that.
Yeah, and so people who take the time to do that can do these things for under $10K. I've heard of people doing it for $5,000. We spent a little bit more than that, so I think more along the average is 20 to 30, and then there are people going into very high end tiny houses that are very finely finished for between $50,000 to $100,000.
Wow. Well, that's still a lot cheaper than any normal four bedroom detached home in Southern California these days, or at least in San Diego County. And
gives you the flexibility to move around a little bit.
Yeah, that's right. It's on wheels. So hey, I'm here for a couple of months, and then I want to move somewhere else. Well, you can pick up your tiny home and take it. And there's a lot of questions. And before we go on, that's the thing, is if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Cody directly. I mean, he is a wealth of knowledge. We've had a couple of different conversations, and I mean, it blows my mind away what this guy, he's a young guy, what he knows and what he's done. And one of the things that we're going to go into next that I really thought was kind of cool was the sketch that you had. And it's a water treatment and bioreactor. So tell our audience, I mean, it's not here yet, but it's almost here yet, right?
So this is a project I worked on. It was my first client out of college, actually. Startup called Pilus Energy, and this was a pretty interesting technology using very much on the high tech end, using genetically enhanced bacteria in a microbial fuel cell to turn wastewater into electricity, biogas, useful chemicals, like we were trying to make a synthetic rubber. So very much on the high-tech end. So we worked with the Environmental Protection Agency and Municipal Sewer District of Cincinnati, and got some pilots up and running, collected a little bit of data. Unfortunately, that project ran out of funding, and so it is still kind of out there, alive and kicking, but I think waiting for another round of investment to take it to the next level. I included that in there because it's just very, it's really kind of one of those technologies like, wow, really we can do just about anything.
Right, and I mean, if we go to that next slide with the bioreactor where it's the actual picture, I mean, so the audience is looking at that picture, they should be seeing that picture right now, just that little reactor. I mean, it's basically wastewater goes in, you have some genetically modified bacteria and it's saying, hey, we're gonna eat this stuff, and the byproduct of that's going to be this natural gas or energy that you can use that's low impact on the environment, right? I mean, that's amazing. I mean, imagine, I mean, we have 100 years ago, I listened to a radio program that said 100 years ago, if you would have told somebody, hey, what I'm going to do is take a tube, I'm going to pressurize it, I'm going to put wings on it, and we're going to fly at 35,000 feet above the air, and we're going to take people from America to Europe in under 11 hours, I would have said, you're crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is kind of similar, we're talking about, like, taking wastewater and making energy, come on. But it's true, I mean, they're turning it into drinking water up in Orange County. So the technology's there. How about this one, the Pyramid House?
Yeah.
Here's kind of an action where we showed the Pyramid House, and Cody, go into that. Tell us about that.
So I gotta plug this company. It's called Algae Aquaculture Technologies. They're from my hometown in Kalispell, Montana, and so that I'm a big fan of them for that reason. But it's one of my absolute favorite sustainability technologies or suites of technologies out there. So these guys are located on the site of a lumber mill. And in Montana, and now I'm learning even in California, there's enough biomass that is not being utilized by the market that it's just getting landfilled.
Oh, geez.
So these guys are landfilling wood chips, and so wood is a high energy substance inherently. Right. So these guys came along, built this what they call a green powerhouse. And so they take the wood chips and they do something called gasification, turn them into, they can basically have a mini oil and gas refinery, but using wood. So they can, anything they can produce in an oil and gas refinery from all these different length hydrocarbons. So they can do a bio oil, they can do a wood vinegar, they can do a biogas. Wow. They can get all these different products out of it, a wood tar, different types of products that we also get from petroleum.
Right.
So it's sort of a substitute for that, and then that produces heat that heats the greenhouse. So this place in Montana in the middle of the winter is 80 degrees. They're growing tropical, bananas in this greenhouse, as well as algae, which they then run through their own set of bioreactors to create more biogas, fertilizer for plants. And they create a biochar from the wood chips, which is an amazing soil amendment, allows you to sequester carbon in the soil for hundreds, if not thousands of years. It's like luxury condominiums for the soil bacteria and fungi, which are really lacking from a lot of our soils.
Yeah, I mean, the fungi is one of the critical pieces that we don't see, but it's the whole network of the soil, believe it or not. So. That's amazing. That is truly amazing. So that's cool. That's a company that's up and running now.
Yeah.
It's producing. It's just a question of how soon it's going to go even bigger and bigger, and we'll do this more in more places across the country.
Yeah, exactly. So we're trying to get a project with them going in San Diego, actually. So down here, I thought, there's not as much biomass as in Montana, as much trees and forests. Most of it's got to be used, right? But even here, they're landfilling it.
Yeah.
The greenery in Miramar is landfilling wood chips, and so we're trying to get them down here and set up one of those systems.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So anyways, I mean, that's why, again, Cody, you have so many awesome things going on. And this last one that we want to show is a tractor, a backhoe, which, I can relate to. I used to do a little bit of stuff on a backhoe at a farm that I used to work on. But tell us about we have a picture of you and somebody else, but tell us more about this backhoe.
Yes, that's a buddy of mine, Daniel Benamy, and so we were volunteering with an organization called Open Source Ecology. These guys are awesome. So the director of that, Marcin Jakubuski, he got a PhD in nuclear physics.
Wow.
No big deal. And was working on some little problem within fusion, just a little cog in that whole place.
Cold fusion.
Yeah, but it was like, hey, I'm not really having the social impact I set out to, and so he's come up with a list of 50 machines that he thinks are sort of the foundation to create a community with modern comforts.
Right.
And everything from that backhoe to a wind turbine, well drilling rig, welder, solar concentrator, down the line. And
wow.
he's creating open source versions of these machines that average about 1/8 the cost of the industrial on the market.
Wow, no kidding. So he's driven the cost down.
And puts all of the
and it's open source.
Online for free. CAD drawings, bill of materials, how-to videos, everything's online for free of the ones they've prototyped.
That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, so he's open sourcing the means of production.
Hey, Dad, are you watching this? This would be great.
Yeah.
Another project we could start on.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So that's open source Ecology, and they have all that. So if you're interested. But the other thing, too, is, what about the person that, isn't ready to go to a tiny home? What are some of the things that they can do now? They're in their home and they want to be more conscious.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips for like the average homeowner?
Sure.
Of what they can do?
So the first thing that I recommend people do if they want to make an impact on the environment and make a difference in that way is to call your elected official. Don't recycle, don't compost. Before
you do those things already,
but before you do any of that, call your elected official and make your desires and what you want known to them. That's going to make more of an impact than any of this other stuff. Do that first. Call once a week with some issue that's bugging you.
Yeah.
Let them know what you think. Don't write a letter. Call them. If you really want to blow their mind, show up at their office.
Wow.
Nobody does it.
It's funny that you say that, because a friend of mine, and he might watch this, Rodney Glassman, who was a city council official. We went to school together in Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
He was a city council guy, and one of the initiatives he did was rainwater capture systems for any new, I believe it was commercial building, and gray water systems in residential housing.
Yeah.
So, and that was one of the things, and I don't know if somebody approached him, but he knows living in the desert, water is scarce, and we need to start thinking about these. So that's a great point. So call your elected official or show up at their office.
Yeah.
Probably not their home, but their office, and let it be known that that's something that's on your mind.
Yeah, be polite, work with these people, but just let them know what you want to be done and how you want things to change, because that's if we all do that, then we can get over this hump and this crisis that we're in
sooner than rather
at
than
the
later.
institutional level. Yeah, it's going to make way more of a difference than a few people recycling and
awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Cody, why don't you just tell our audience out there what's the phone number again? I know it's at the bottom, but just in case they're only listening.
Yeah, so if you want to chat sustainability, you need some help with a project, give me a call at 434-242-6879 or corona-enterprises.com. You can get all the information on there.
Yeah, and if you like this, please share it with anybody and everybody. You can also find Cody's information at facebook.com/Corona Enterprises. Mm-hmm. Like his page. Feel free to share this with your family and friends. Hopefully you liked it, and please contact us or let us know if we can help or be of assistance in any way. Thank you for spending some time with us this morning.
Thanks, everybody.
Yep, thank you. Thanks, Cody.